We're the United States of America. Unity and oneness is what we're made of. One nation under God, it's plain to see. We're showing the whole world what a country should be. United we stand in America, hand in hand in America, together as one in a land that we love. United we stand in America.
Good morning, everyone out there. Welcome to Changing Times. It is Wednesday, July the 1st. Can you all believe that? July 1st. This is show number 298. Dr. Mary, we are getting close to 300 shows. I'll have a cake or cupcakes or something that day. We're going to celebrate that moment of 300 shows on Acts Ministry. We are live at Acts Media Group headquarters in Springfield, Missouri today, and it's going to be another hot day. A lot of the United States is hot, and today we are celebrating. This is part one of two parts. We'll do it again next week. And this music that you all just heard is absolutely United We Stand America. This is a very patriotic song that Steve McCollum sung, and he's a Nashville veteran star. And he will be on our show next week. He's performing this 4th of July at Texas, and there'll be thousands. He told me there'll be thousands of people there. It's a big event in Texas, and he's the main show. This guy will be on our show next week from Texas. We'll zoom him in, and he's going to sing some patriotic songs, and we're going to continue to celebrate America. But today, I'm Lynn Morris, and
I'm Dr. Mary Byrne.
You certainly are, Dr. Mary Byrne. And we have a great show lined up. We're going to be talking about America's 250th birthday, what it means to us. At the very end, we're going to do something kind of a little different. Each of us, the four of us, are going to say what our country means to us and what celebrating America 250 means. And we'll kind of all probably have some similarities, and we'll have some different perspectives, and I think that's going to be important, and we're going to listen to our two guests. So we have Major Susan Wilson. I heard her speak at Fremont Hills, a large crowd last Saturday, and she did a great job, and I want her to talk about her military and her family coming over here and the way people were supposed to come over to our country and actually want to contribute to our country and serve our country and things like this. So I think that's really cool. And then we have Presiding Commissioner, our good friend, Commissioner Bob Dixon. Bob and I served in the House and the Senate, and now he's Presiding Commissioner in Greene County, and we're neighbors in Christian County, so that's where I serve. And so we're going to listen to both of them, and we've got Greene County's got something going on next Wednesday, July 8th, and so Bob's going to tell us about that. So if anybody's in Southwest Missouri, we have people watching right now from all the states in the country. So it's an amazing crowd that we have and stuff like that. But we are just blessed because our show just continues to grow. And we've got Dennis. He's our volunteer producer. Everybody in Acts Ministry, including Jim Whining, our CEO, is a volunteer. So we are really proud of what we do. We do believe in God, Son, and Holy Spirit. And I'm going to start out real quick, and then we're going to go right into our show. I want to tell people this. I did this last week, and sometimes I just feel compelled to say this. I know there's a lot of people that don't have hope out there. These are troubling times for a lot of people. And even though our country is the best country in the world, we still have issues. We have problems, and we're going to deal with them. We're going to be okay. But for you all that don't have Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior, today is the day. Don't put it off. Don't put it off, because I just had a close friend of mine, die in a car accident 3 days ago. I think they'll be in heaven. Okay, I'm not worrying about them. But what about if they weren't? you'll never see them again. Their family will never see them again. Please, please. So here's what you do. If you don't know Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior, then just go to 1234 at Acts, at 1234 Acts, ACT.
4321.
Oh, well, I'm sorry. I'm going to get this right yet. 4343, don't get confused. This is important. Don't get confused. 4321 ACTS@gmail.com. Go there and we will help you, guide you through the process. Today is the day. Wouldn't it be great to do that today or in the next 2 or 3 days as we celebrate 250 years of America and what God has done for us? So there we go. So now we're going to go ahead and get started. And so, Bob, I'm going to have you get kind of start off. We got something important going on in Greene County. What's going on? And now I want you to just kind of tell people a little bit about your history and stuff like that too.
Okay, sure. Well, we're ready to celebrate 250 years, America's semiquincentennial. And, you know, I've been told by very loving people that I'm nerding out a little bit, but I'm so excited. And I think we should really take the time to experience this moment we're living in. And, you know, we'll have folks at this celebration next week who were here during the bicentennial and participated. These moments don't come along often. Sometimes they're once in a lifetime for some folks. But it is a time to reflect. It's a time to recount. You know, I gave a speech last week and was talking about the instructions that God gave to Israel about remembering their deliverance. And I'm struck by the similarities and the of our country and its birth pangs. And I'm also mindful that if odds were placed at the time of the revolution, not very many people thought that the Patriots were going to win. The odds were against us. And it really started with a remnant, which led to our freedom. And so I think it's incumbent upon ourselves in these days to really recount what happened and try to relive the moment almost, as it were. So that's what we're going to do.
That's what God says. Go back to the beginning.
That's right.
Go back to the beginning and remember who you were.
Yeah.
You have gone off the rails.
And we really have gone off the rails. So this is a moment where we can what we're saying to the public about this event is we want to refocus ourselves. Mm-hmm. This event is going to be probably the most politically diverse event anyone has ever been to. Shortly after the remarks and the reading of the Declaration of Independence, the Greene County Republican Women's Club and the Greene County, I hope I can get all this in there, Greene County Franklin D. Roosevelt Democratic Women's Club are co-hosting an ice cream social.
Cool.
And it's just vanilla. Somebody said, "Are you going to have strawberry and blueberry?" I said, "No, it's just vanilla." And
that's
Bring
okay
your
with
own
me.
sauce.
that's right.
I love ice cream.
We'll have sprinkles and we'll have Coke for Coke floats, you know, and we're going to refocus ourselves.
Yeah.
We were trying to figure out, our committee that has been working on events throughout the year, what do we do for the 4th? We looked at the calendar and we said, the 4th is on a Saturday. People are going to have all these other events to go through. Then we reminded ourselves of history. That document was signed on July 2nd. I'm sorry, it was adopted on July 2nd. They signed it in secret. They passed it in secret. It was not public until the 8th of July. And of course, they were concerned about what the response was going to be from the troops in the street. So when we looked back at archives, and as soon as we did, I started recalling in my own mind and shared with the committee a dinner that I attended at the governor's mansion when I was in the Senate. It was 2016, the last year, where we asked Governor Nixon what his plans were for the summer because he was out of office. He didn't have to campaign. It was the end of his term. And he kind of sheepishly said, well, I've been invited by my family to come back to Philadelphia and take part in the reenactment they do every year of the reading. And we were kind of puzzled. And then he shared with us that it was his ancestor, Colonel John Nixon, who was the first reader on the steps of the State House on that day at noon. And we all were just kind of blown away. And we were really impressed, frankly, that he had never tried to use that politically. I said, I'm going to call and see if we can get him. So this was like in January, and we worked through some folks that really kind of advocated for him coming down here. They weren't sure about their schedule, but June the 8th, they said yes, and he and Georgianne will be here. It's going to be a very solemn, serious occasion, and of course, with that, we put a program together that's just knock your socks off. Former Attorney General John Ashcroft is on the program with his friend Max Bacon, who was a Democrat state rep and then a Greene County judge for many years. They sang together. They actually cut an album together at the bicentennial. Mm-hmm. They're going to lead in the national anthem. We have a choir and a barbershop quartet that will be providing some incredible patriotic music.
I'm a pretty good singer myself.
Well, you just we're gonna ask everyone to join in. So you sing out.
Okay, well,
but
be a backup.
It will be We've asked him to share some remarks. Governor Nixon gave a speech last fall at Westminster College up in Fulton. That was. It wasn't a political speech. He was talking to the students there and the faculty at Fulton about how do we restore civics in our generation and civility. And, I know we all have to deal with social media, but my personal opinion, it has really changed our etiquette toward one another, and it is not positive.
No.
It's a useful tool, but we've sort of forgotten our manners. And, no sort of about it. So his comments in Fulton were about restoring civility, but more importantly, restoring civics. And I said, if you will come down here and do this reading, I would invite you to share some of those highlights. So he's going to lead off with that, and then he's going to just read the entire document as if it was that day. And I've already been thinking, and we had a call the other day about the fact that anybody who's there and doesn't have goosebumps probably has something wrong with them. That's what he said. Yeah. And I said, well, I'm glad to hear that because I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about what this is going to be next week. Because our whole effort was to, again, refocus ourselves. We're off on all of these things that don't matter. Yeah. And we're so polarized, we've lost our way, whether it's the etiquette in the social media or whether it's just what man is so prone to do, which is just go astray. When we lead ourselves, there's no telling where we're going to wind up.
We've lost our moorings.
Yes, yeah. We absolutely have. And if you sheep are the great example in Scripture, but sheep who wander and don't have a shepherd, or they're just out on their own, they will wind up in so much trouble. And then they go, well, what happened? And that's kind of the way society is today. And we begin to blame each other. And so it's a chance to refocus ourselves. Mm-hmm. It really is. And the principles. Now, John Ashcroft had an amazing idea. He was so excited. I called him the next day after the confirmation from Governor Nixon. And he said, well, I'm going to check my schedule. But he said, I'd love to be there, And he didn't want to be on the program, but we insisted. And he said, you know what you really need? If you could get something where people could sign. It's not the same. They're not signing their lives, their fortunes, and their sacred honor. But what about the symbolism? Well, we took that one and ran with it. I said, General, that is a fabulous idea. So we have some. It's 8.5 by 11, essentially, the document, if you shrink the declaration down, but we're printing it on legal paper, so it's a little longer. And there's a line under there on that parchment that is a signature line, and it says, "We hereby affirm our commitment, our personal commitment to the principles articulated in this declaration." And it's dated and signed at the courthouse. And so the individual who takes that and wants to take it home can sign it. The commission has signed it. It's got our seal and our 250th marker. We're going to hand those out to anybody that wants them. My wife says I kind of got carried away, but
It's okay.
we're very low budget at Greene County. We don't have internet sales tax, so our funding measure mechanism.
Neither do we.
I know you don't, and it's not something that's very popular anywhere. But this is how counties are funded. So
Right.
we're very careful with our money, and the guys over at Emergency Management have a plotter, which allowed them to print for us a couple of declarations of independence in half. So it's 10 feet tall and like 7 feet wide. It will hang there on the wall. It's going to be incredible. If we had paid for folks to come in and put this together, this would have been a $10,000 or $12,000 event. And our people, our employees, are so excited. They made it happen. Some of them actually bought the supplies out of their pocket to be able to celebrate our freedom, celebrate our nation. So we'll have ice cream afterward, and all in all, it's about an hour program. There'll be prelude and postlude music provided by the Salvation Army Brass Band. Some of them are coming from St. Louis. It's going to be incredible, and we'll have seating. There'll be seating and standing room on all 3 floors. It'll be set up as theater in the round so more people can see. But we would just invite the public, anyone who's in the area in Southwest Missouri, come on to the courthouse, 940 Booneville, in the Historic Courthouse. We have 2, but it's the Historic Courthouse, 2 o'clock next Wednesday, July the 8th.
I sent Dennis the PDF, so he's going to post it with this link.
Oh, super.
Yeah. It's on the screen right now.
Yeah. So,
And
Bob, I
if
tell
you
what,
don't
that's
live in the
awesome.
area, we can find you some really good airfare, I'm
There
sure.
it is. It's our background. Look, Lynn, it's the background of the.
Yeah, no, I tell you what. So, Bob, that's just awesome. I appreciate you and the other 2 commissioners and all of the people in Greene County that's set this thing up. When you've got people like Judge Max Bacon, you've got General Ashcroft. He was my law instructor at SMS. I made an A in both of his classes. He wanted me to be a lawyer instead of a pharmacist, and he actually tried to find. He wanted me to go to law school and pharmacy school then after I wouldn't give up, and I said I had to live in a big city. The only place back then there was less than 10 lawyers, pharmacists, and everywhere it was like New York, Chicago, or that's not Southwest Missouri. And I said, no, sir, I just can't. But he was a great instructor over there. Actually, my best instructor I ever had in my life, and I've gone to a lot of schooling. And he's great. But I really appreciate what you're doing. This is really important. Jan and I will be there.
Super.
And I don't know whether we've RSVP'd yet, but you want people to RSVP, don't you?
They don't have
They
to.
don't have to.
For the folks that I know we sent you an invitation, we tried to send personalized invitations to a number of folks, and just to tell you who's invited, all of the statewide officials have been invited. I believe we will have 3 there. We invited all of our judiciary, Supreme Court, the Southern District Appellate Court, and the 31st Circuit. We're going to have 3 of the Supremes there, and the Appellate Court will come over. They're located in Springfield, and our presiding judge and a number of the judges in our circuit will be there. And then we invited the contiguous counties and their leadership. And we just, really hope that folks will come and have a time of really needed unity in the country right now, above politics, which is it's really two things. It's the principles that all of our politics should be based upon, and then also even higher than that, how we got our freedom.
Yes.
Right.
And you'll notice when you hear the music, there's a theme through those. They're all patriotic songs, but we chose the ones which are prayers. When they sing, for example, My Country 'Tis of Thee, they'll be including the fourth verse, which is a prayer. We'll end with God Bless America, which is a prayer. So, but no, there's no RSVP required. We may run out of ice cream, but that's okay. We will make sure that we try to stretch that. But Highland is donating all of that.
Awesome.
Coke will be there and donating Coca-Cola. So yeah, just come on and we're trying to get some extra seating, but that courthouse holds quite a few people.
Well, I'm
Yeah.
just tickled that you're the commissioner at such a time as this.
I'm really excited and honored to be there.
And he's the right person at this right
Yeah.
time.
Bob and I have in common that we're amateur historians. Bob actually comes from a banking background, but history is,
Well, history's important.
history.
If you don't know history, you're gonna be
every
in trouble.
American should be an amateur historian. And this is what
That's
I keep
right.
pushing.
That's right.
Public schools, the whole purpose, and it's the constitutional purpose of taking your tax dollars, was to provide a public education to protect the republic. That means
That's right.
everyone coming through the public school system should be an amateur historian, so that they know where they came from,
Yeah.
and they are equipped with the skills to engage in government. That's the only way we survive, folks.
That's right.
And we have been infiltrated.
Yeah.
There's no question about it. I've studied this.
Yeah.
And
it
we need to know the real history.
Yeah.
We have to know the real history, and it's such a blessing to know those people who know the value of our roots, and will bring it out of the closet again.
Yeah, yeah. This is a time to, in the difficult times, again, it's important to recount, but that your phrase made me think, it's important to shout it. We can't hide it under a bushel. The reason the walls came down at Jericho was, number one, they were faithful when it was looking impossible. And they went out ahead of the people, went the praise people before anybody else.
That's right.
If you look at that story, and they shouted the praises of how God had been faithful. So we have to.
Seems kind of weird to send the singers first, doesn't it?
I know. I always thought that's weird. Now I get it.
Okay?
Now I get it, because the other people will get
There's
the
a part for me.
goosebumps.
There's a part for you.
So yeah, I mean, it's exciting. We've a little bit of history on that day, which I'd read a little bit of this, but Governor Nixon, with his familial connection, gave it some perspective I had not understood. So on July 8th, they had 3 pre-planned readings of the Declaration. One was in Philadelphia in front of the State House, which we know now as Independence Hall. Of course, the bell that we now know as the Liberty Bell was up in the top, and it had been commissioned in 1751. I think it was made in 52, and it was to celebrate the 50th anniversary of that colony and William Penn's purpose of religious liberty. We all know that it's got the verse from Leviticus on there, proclaim liberty throughout all the land and unto the inhabitants thereof. So there is where the term, the Liberty Bell, came from later. But they had a pre-planned reading in Philadelphia, one in Easton, Pennsylvania, and one in Trenton, New Jersey. The other parts of the country got it later, but those were the 3. I didn't understand why until Nixon explained this to me. So they were all at noon. They rang the bell to summon the crowd. See, they didn't have Facebook, so they had to figure out how to get people there. So people came together. There must be some news. And the colonel, who was also a Philadelphia merchant, ascended the steps there and read the declaration. He was basically the town crier for the day. And when he was done reading with the line, "We pledge our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor," that's the end of it. The crowd erupted in applause, and the bell pealed most of the rest of the day. Well, I thought that's interesting, but I didn't know why the bell rang so long. And he was explaining to me in some of the readings he's done, they were, of course, very concerned about being hung. They were concerned about offensive attacks from the British troops. And so that bell was to summon the patriots and get ready for defending themselves. And so when we hear, in fact, in this ceremony on Wednesday, there will be a point where there are bells. Let us, 250 years later, let that draw us to defend what we have from attacks, because the attacks have always been there. Whether it's America, ancient Israel, or any nation where liberty and freedom manifest, it's like a brush fire, and it can't be contained. And tyrants know this, so they have to figure out how to extinguish it. It is like I shared at an event the other day. We were celebrating Juneteenth, and I said, freedom is like a contagious health, and it will spread if we just get it sparked and beginning. And so, when I was sharing there, we're humans. We don't usually get everything right the first time. It wasn't perfect even then at the founding of the nation, but it was the spark and the beginning of freedom. And I dare say we would not be celebrating holidays like Juneteenth if it had not been for Independence Day, when that spark of freedom began, because the brush fire continues throughout. And we've got to keep that fire going.
And the brush fire started 10 years before the Declaration. It was not, a one-off impulsive decision.
Right, right.
If anybody has not yet seen An Amazing Grace,
oh yeah,
they need to see that movie, because it's the truth. It was George Whitefield, an Anglican priest, who started preaching the liberty from the Scripture and told people, you have a king, but it's not here on earth. Right. And it's your relationship to the King of Heaven who is the provider of your liberty. So 10 years of George Whitefield, really. And it was the churches, and this is what's so grievous right now. It was the churches that spread the news of liberty. It was the Black Robe Regiment that led the charge. It was Mecklenburg with guns under his robe at the pulpit saying, come on, boys, we're going to implement God's plan.
And he took his robe off and walked out the back door.
He did, in his uniform.
Yeah. And these kinds, we hear the phrase, these are the times that try men's souls. Yeah, they are, but we have them in our lifetime every day.
Thomas Paine.
Yeah.
By the way.
Yeah.
Hey, guys, we could listen to Bob all day long and Dr. Mary, but we've got another great guest here. So, Major Susan, so tell us a little bit about, I listened to you, and you've lived out Fremont Hills a long time. I lived out there a long time, and I didn't really know you. I knew you were a city councilwoman and some of the things about you, but let's talk about your family. I thought it was amazing how your family came over and some of the things they've done. Proud of you and your 18 years of military service with the Army. And so just kind of share some things that you talked about.
Well, my father's family, years and years ago, came over on the Mayflower, and they had a difficult journey leaving England, and they left in September. And I am not a great historian, so you might be able to fill in some of the facts. But they came over, they left England. First of all, my family were the separatists, some of the separatists. And so they had left England and went to Holland for about 12 to 13 years in search of religious freedom. The King of England, it was a mandate that you had to worship in the Church of England. And they were Protestants, the separatists, but they did not agree with all of the things that the king was making them do in their worship. So they left in search of freedom. And then they had some financial difficulties in Holland, so they decided to come back to England, and they were financed by a company that helped get the Mayflower to the United States, to the colonies then. And so my father's ancestor was on that ship.
Wow.
On the Mayflower. And what is interesting to me is that they came over for freedom, for religious freedom, and they honored it. And when they got here, they suffered greatly.
And the ship's captain tried to get them to go back to England because they landed in such horrible cold weather that he knew that they had a death sentence. And they said, no, we are not going back. We're going to take this opportunity for freedom, even if it kills us. And it killed half of them.
It did. It
And
killed
you know
half of
that
them.
ship, it was a miracle that they made it to begin with, because the ship was really not an ocean-going vessel. It was, I saw a documentary about the actual Mayflower. It really was not the size of ocean-going ships.
And it started, they had two ships that were going to come, the Speedwell and the Mayflower, but the Speedwell was leaking, and so they had to turn back, I think,
Yes,
twice.
that's right.
And then everyone kind of crowded onto the Mayflower, so it was really crowded. And disease spreads when you're in close quarters. But they ended up getting to Cape Cod area in November.
Blown off course. I want to emphasize this. They were headed for what they thought was New York. And it was God, it was Providence, they said. Blew them off course to a portion of land that did not have a charter. And that's what gave them the freedom to write the Mayflower Compact.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is the seminal document to the Declaration of Independence.
It is.
Right.
Amazing.
It is amazing. And so they had every intention of remaining loyal to the king, but with enough distance that their religious beliefs would not be interfered with, but God had other plans. It's an amazing story. But
It is. And I think that we're all on a pilgrim's journey.
And we'll get blown off course.
We do. And it's difficult a lot of times, but if we keep our eyes on the king, our king, we will get to the promised land. And heaven is our home, where our king is.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what the pilgrims wanted too.
Sure.
And generation after generation, after the pilgrims, they were taught, the people were taught liberty and the honor, how wonderful it was to have freedom. At the signing of the Declaration of Independence were some of the Mayflower descendants. Some of them, including John Adams and Samuel Adams, were there. And John Adams was the second president of the United States. And they really honored freedom and liberty. And those...
And what was your family's name on the ship?
Well, it was Fuller, and there has been some discussion in the last couple of years, and I just found out about this 2 days ago, that because Edward Fuller passed away. He was one of the many pilgrims who died that first year. And his descendant was in England that carried on our family name, Matthew Fuller. I don't know exactly what the controversy is about that.
Family Feud.
I don't know. But Matthew Fuller, eventually, he was in England getting education. He became a physician. And when he came over, it was quite a number of years after the Pilgrims, I think it was 1640, he came and he served in the militia. He was a judge. He also was a physician, and so he helped in the form a hospital. And so he was a great patriot also. And it doesn't really matter to me whether the Mayflower Society believes that Fuller's line is still descendants. We're all kind of descendants, and there's 35 million of descendants of the Mayflower in the United States. So, but I think my ancestors really did help to bring us freedom and liberty, and then, like at the signing of the Declaration of Independence, John Quincy Adams. He was the 6th president of the United States. He was the son of John Adams, and he was only 9. But when he became president...
But brilliant.
Brilliant, a great speaker. I wish I could speak a little bit like he does. But he was speaking to an American audience and saying that the Declaration of Independence was really like the Israelites' Ark of the Covenant, taking the Ark to the Promised Land. And the Declaration of Independence came from the Mayflower Compact and the beginning of our liberties and freedoms. And there were settlers here before the Pilgrims, too. And they settled Jamestown in 1607. But it wasn't
for religious purposes, and that's the difference between the prior settlers and why the Pilgrims on the Mayflower were different. It was the motive for coming over.
That's right.
Yeah.
And I thank the Lord that they did it.
Yeah.
And they came over for religious freedom. And we still have it if we stand for it and we stand firm in our convictions.
Absolutely.
Getting back to Bob's point about derailing, I mean, that was an organized, concerted effort in the education system with the progressives to remove the religious spirit of liberty and make this all about economics.
And the challenge with that, too, is it is not true to history.
Correct.
You know,
yes.
I've shared with, whenever I do anything with students, guest lecturing, or I won't have the opportunity to really voice it at this event next week, although we will have some students there who've been invited. I think it's important for us, you look at history over the long term, and when you do that, the people, the actors, everyone involved sort of makes this beautiful tapestry of, it's not really history, it's God's story. And, you know, I've thought about the 2 settlements in the, the Mayflower, which is what I learned about when I was in school in New England in the 70s before we moved to Springfield. And then later you hear about the other settlement, but now, to your point, there's this, what is it, the 1619 project, which was the date that was settled. You know, yeah, there were some issues there, but it was really for finance. It was really
Virginia
for profit.
Was English.
Right. It was really
1619. The colony was English. It was English slave trading. America didn't exist at the time. And so to say that this is American history is not true. They became a population of people. I mean, eventually Virginia gave us Thomas Jefferson, who wrote the Declaration. But Thomas Jefferson was trained as an English lawyer. And that's what I want to get to in a little bit, because when we talk about the Declaration, he uses a phrase called the laws of nature and nature's God. And he did not make that up.
No, he didn't.
That came from his English law books written by Blackstone.
Which was natural law.
Which was natural law. And actually what Blackstone is saying was, King of England, you are not the ultimate lawmaker.
Right, right.
And Jefferson was just taking what Blackstone's respected as the guy who wrote.
To this day.
The English law. But the point is that Jefferson was actually echoing English law.
He was basically saying we've gotten off course.
And we have gotten off course.
Even back then.
And you in particular, King, that's why we're going to list out your transgressions, because you have gotten off course. But to use that phrase, the laws of nature and nature's God, was an acknowledgement that our rights come from God.
That's right.
And so whatever you think of Thomas Jefferson, and I deal with gifted education a lot. That's part of special education. They turn over every rock and stone. And Jefferson was brilliant. He went to William and Mary College when he was 16. Okay. So these people who turn over every stone are skeptical of everything. And it doesn't mean they don't believe. That means they're going to have conversations with God about who's right.
Hey, Dr. Mary, we're going to have to, we got sponsors. So we're going to run out of time. So this is why we have part 2. So stay tuned for next week, because we're going to be doing the same things again with special music. But Brad Pistow is our certified fiduciary financial planner located in Ozark, Missouri. Amazingly, this man is one of the best in the entire country. He's licensed in 18 states, and people say, oh, I'm watching in another state today. That doesn't matter. He knows associates and people in all 50 states, okay? He is renowned as one of the best financial retirement planners in the country. I use him. Many of my friends use him. He has a plan that you will never run out of life before you run out of money. So many people, as a senior like me, people worry about running out of money before they run out of their life. You don't have to worry with Brad Pistow. They also do financial investments. His son is a licensed stockbroker. I buy stocks, I buy gold, I do whatever I want to do through that company. He's got 2 books, Safe Money Matters and Bulletproof, both #1 best-selling books on retirement planning. You can get those free. Pencil and paper. I hope you have a pencil and paper. The people that watch every week know to have a pencil and paper. 417-581-9222. 417-581-9222. Lisa will answer the phone. You can tell her who you are, where you are, and they will send you a book. They'll send you information. He does not charge for in-office consultations. He doesn't charge for on-phone conversations. He will help you, whether it be him or someone else. He will help you. He writes and contributes to Wall Street Journal, USA Today, just all kinds of publications. He speaks all over the country all the time. He's hard to get a hold of to bring on our show, but he'll be on our show because he's always one of the best shows we have, because he shares information on retirement planning, and a lot of people are interested in that. So I highly recommend him. He's been a sponsor all 7.5 years on my political talk show on KWTO, and also 5.5 years here. He's loyal. He helps a lot of different people in the area, and we really appreciate it. Springfield Nissan, Springfield Kia is our other sponsor. It used to be Youngblood Motor Group. That's John Whittaker. And now we have Aaron Swanson. I just spoke with Aaron yesterday, and I bought a car back last September, Labor Day, a Kia Sorento. and you bought a
Nissan Rogue.
A Nissan Rogue.
In January.
And the assessor down at Christian County, he bought a car. I had told him about Springfield Nissan and Kia, and he bought a Sportster, Kia Sportster, but he bought the hybrid, and it's getting 44 miles per gallon. Okay, so now I'm looking for that for my wife. So honestly, we highly recommend him. His phone number, their phone number, 417-882-3838, 417-882-3838. Susan's going to answer the phone. She always answers the phone. She'll get you to the right person, and I can guarantee you, yes, you go, well, I don't, in Springfield, Missouri, on South Campbell, I don't live there. Well, they sell cars. I've done research. They sell cars every year to 8 different states, people in 8 different states. That's not all of them, but for anyone around this area, they have great new cars, and they also have great certified cars on their used lots. So if you can't afford a new car, buy a certified car. They will be a great investment for you. But those are our 2 sponsors. Now, we've got about 10 minutes left, and I'm going to start with our guests first. Susan, we'll start with you. Just in a couple minutes, what does America mean? Celebrating our 250th birthday, what does it mean to you?
To me, it's celebrating the freedoms that we have, and the religious freedoms, and we have so many rights that are God-given rights, but also because we are Americans, we have a lot of rights. Not only the freedom of religion, but to assemble, the freedoms. There are just multiple ones, and they were listed: life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness in the Declaration of Independence. But it's such a freedom to me. And when I decided to join the Army and the reserves, I'm retired, by the way. I'm not still serving.
But you're on city council. You're serving civically.
Yes. Yeah. And I did that when I retired from the Army.
Sure.
I went down and signed up, filed to be a candidate
yes, you're
for
doing
city council.
Important public service.
That's right.
But I was hoping to support our country, and I was a nurse practitioner in the Army Reserves. My unit got mobilized a couple of times, one for Operation Desert Storm, and the other for OEF from Afghanistan and Iraqi freedom. And we went to Germany, and I was so honored to be able to care for our warriors that were taken to Landstuhl, Germany, from the battlefield. And they were there supporting freedoms too, and so willing to support our government and our way of life in the United States. And so I just am just honored to have been able to serve in our country, and I hope that I continue to do that and stand firm for our freedoms. I think there are so many people from other countries, immigrants that have come here from countries that are socialist and communist, and they were so thankful to have escaped and now have freedoms. And their honor of the United States and our freedoms is just inspiring to me, that we as Americans that were born here sometimes don't have that same honor for the freedoms that we have here. And
well,
we need to get
Susan,
back to
we
that.
really appreciate your service. We appreciate all the veterans' service out there. I mean, this country wouldn't even be here today if it wasn't first for God helping us win wars that we weren't going to win, and helping us, and then the veterans sacrificing many, many times their life, and for people they didn't even know. Most of the veterans don't even know the people back home, except maybe right close to their own house, and they do that. They do that. Makes America great. Bob?
And to your point, Lynn, I'm just mindful, there's no greater love than one who would lay down his life for friends. And so to that, thank you for service, and thank you to veterans who have done so or been willing to do so. And I want to thank each of you for your public service as well in the roles that you do, and for keeping this conversation about freedom front and center. I am so, I'm almost short of words to explain what the country means to me and what freedom means to me and this occasion. You mentioned immigrants. My father, my late father, was married to a wonderful lady from Taiwan who immigrated and became a citizen. I have a son-in-law from Mexico, and I have a new son-in-law from Tunisia who we hope to get here soon. They love the country. They don't have the freedoms that we have around the world even today. And my father's wife, her ancestry goes back to Chiang Kai-shek. Her father actually fought with him when they fled to Taiwan and fled the communists. People are yearning for freedom around the world. They want that brush fire that we talked about earlier. And it's important for us, I think, to recount what it means so that we will remind ourselves, so that we can do what God instructed the children of Israel to do, to teach our children's children. That's the important thing. Yes, our children, but I have two granddaughters, and that's what I'm really focused on, is how can we teach our children's children what we have. We're so fortunate, and as long as there's one, as long as there's a remnant, the light of freedom will not go out. We have to do our part, and next week, we're going to shout about it, we're going to cheer, and we're going to remind ourselves, there have always been throughout history those times where we refocus ourselves. We talked a moment ago about Virginia and Thomas Jefferson's really strategic way that he used the law, natural law, to help refocus the people in that time.
He was laying out a case.
He laid out a case which later became part of the Declaration. The Pilgrims who came over, and Susan's ancestors, they refocused themselves and they said, we've got to be able to teach our children's children about the freedom that God gave to Israel and to us. And those two colonies, I was going to mention this earlier, really became the source of the contest in the United States over freedom a generation later in the 1860s, when the nation decided to refocus itself on the founding principles of freedom, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness for all people, which brought about the end of slavery in this country, because you had really two different foundations that had been laid, and fortunately the one that was laid upon God's principles of freedom won out. We're always at a time of crossroads, and if folks don't see that today, then perhaps we're not looking at the real issues. It's very easy to look at the news and say, what is going on? Well, the same thing that's been going on for millennia. We have an enemy, and it's a lot easier to see and understand the world if we look at it through the lens like that. So just really, really pleased, and thank you for the opportunity to be with you. This has been
I'm looking
motivational.
forward next week. I tell you what, people all over Southwest Missouri, if you can come next Wednesday, 2 o'clock, July the 8th, right?
Yeah.
And it'll be a great event. We should always be celebrating. And you know what? It's kind of like Veterans Day. We should be celebrating Veterans Day every day of the year, 365, and thank our veterans.
Yeah.
How about celebrating America 365 days? Okay, your turn.
All right. Let's see if I can wrap this up. So when the Mayflower went to Plymouth, and one of the things they brought with them, and one of their sources for affirming their beliefs, was the Geneva Bible. Mm-hmm. And the reason King James had another Bible written is because the Geneva Bible had notes in it in the sidebar explaining that there was no birthright to the succession of kings. And the English kings didn't want people knowing that. So they condemned the Geneva Bible. James had the King James Bible written, but the separatists already knew the truth. And so if you go to Plymouth now, you see the Founders Monument, which is, right? Watch the movie Monumental, and you'll see the story of the Founders Monument with the angel at the center of the monument and 4 smaller statues around the side that tell the history. It's the key to the history of the ideas the founders came over with. They hadn't fought a war yet, but the ideas they were defending were from the Bible. John Locke, who Jefferson read, was the one who pointed out there was no birthright to the succession of kings. So that was the disruptor right there. And if you read Exodus 18 to 23, you'll see where God sets out for the Israelites before they actually enter Israel what the government should look like in a republic. That's what we are based on. And the republic is educate everybody in the law, then select out of that educated citizenry the ones who are gifted for governance. Jefferson was writing the Notes on Virginia saying exactly the same thing. Everybody, regardless of socioeconomic status, will have a basic publicly funded education. We will identify those who have the gift for governance. And in his notes, he wanted free education all the way up, but you would select the best to lead the country. That's the preservation of the republic. But it comes from Exodus 18 to 23. Select out of your educated citizenry. Everybody has to know the law because everybody has to govern themselves. But the ones who have the gift for leadership will then be elected by the people for that leadership. That's where the 3 branches of government come from. But if you're not reading the Bible, you don't know that. The good news is the state of Texas, their State Board of Education, just restored not the study of Bible for religious purposes, but the study of Bible in the social studies curriculum to know the facts about where our Constitution came from. And so it's a good beginning.
Yeah.
I think we're on a roll.
Starts with a
and
remnant.
I'm waiting for Missouri to pick it up. Okay.
Well, that's great. So,
Yeah.
hey, folks, we really appreciate you being on our show today, watching us, and be sure and share that with your friends and neighbors, people at church, people where you work, whatever. Acts Ministry really needs your support. And if you like this show, contact us at 4321acts@gmail.com. Let us know. We'd love to know what you thought about our show. We had really smart patriots on our show today, very smart people, difference makers. You guys are all difference makers, and our country is full of all kinds of difference makers. It takes all of those different types of difference makers to make our country what it is, and it is still the greatest country in the world. And without our country, the world wouldn't exist. So, you know what? We'll be back next week, part 2. I didn't get to tell you what I think, and so that's okay because that's
We'll
why we
save you
have
for next
that's
week.
why we have part 2. You're going to save me for next week. But no, I could just sit here and listen all day long because these people are tremendous people, and they love our country, they love God, and we hope you do too. We'll be back next week, and we'll have part 2. Everyone have a great 4th of July.